Hey y'all, welcome back to Boomerang Auto Repair. My name's T-Roy. This is a car we fixed just a couple weeks ago. It went out, it came right back. Yeah, it's overheating again. Check engine light's on. We resolved that the first time. I can't remember what the check engine light was though. But anyway, check engine light's on again, and it's overheating, and he says that it's not leaking fluid anywhere and that it's still topped off, so not sure what's happening there. So let's dig into this and see if we can figure it out. So doing some real quick diagnostics. Right down in there is where it was leaking before, completely dry. But if you look down here towards the bottom, there is a puddle of coolant right down there on top of that plastic trim piece. So it's coming from somewhere at the radiator. It's dry on this side, it's wet on this side. So I'm going to be looking for that leak. Probably, I'm guessing it's going to be low on the radiator because everything else up top looks dry. I probably have to get the fan out of the way so that I can expose the backside of the radiator and see if I can isolate where that's coming from. At this point, I'm guessing that we're replacing a radiator, but we're still early on. Let's see if we can figure out what the real issue is. Let's see if we can see how much fluid's leaked out. No, it's down an inch. It's still above the innards, so it's not just flowing out freely. Yep, I definitely have to get the fans out of the way. I was hoping this was just like a split hose or something. That would have been super easy. But nope. No use messing around. Let's see what we can find out here. Unplug. Unplug, I said. There we go. And that was fan number one. It's dry under there. That's interesting. Ready. Unplug. Thank you. Ooh, two plugs. Two unplugs. I think the button to release that one is broken. That's perfect. Yep, it sure is. Get a little more creative. That's actually easier than pushing a button. Alright. Let's get fan number two out of the way. Close enough. Where's my light? That's all completely dry as well. What is happening? Why is that dry? Could it be coming from this? That appears to be bone dry in there. Well, in poking around some more, I'm not seeing anything that's obvious. So I'm going to top off the overflow container so that it's full again. Top off the radiator itself. And then we're going to have to just run this thing. I've got the fan still pulled out of it. I'll have to hook up my hose again. But that way I can just diagnose and see. I got to see it with my eyeballs, you know what I'm saying? This is a 50-50 mix. Alright, that's up to full. Let's reconnect this first though. Had these things release from channel locks and grab my fingers before it hurts. Ooh, see? Like that. Except it smacked my hand once. Alright, put that back essentially where it was. Woohoo! There we go. Let's get our overflow connected again before I run it out. There we go. Hose had air in it, so that should fix that. I wonder if it could be as simple as needing to replace the cap. That would be awesome, because that's a super cheap fix. Then we can get on to doing the clutch. Get some real wrenching in. In fact, I'm wondering if that isn't exactly what we've got going on here. Alright, with no fans, this should warm up pretty quick. I'm wondering if I should put the fans back on. So I made an executive decision and just put it back together, fans and everything. I'm really, at this point, leaning towards it just being the radiator cap itself. But I got it running right now. I got a fan turned on to blow the exhaust out of the garage so I don't die. I only have so many brain cells left, right? Boomerang Auto! Anyway, let's let this thing warm up. In the meantime, I'm going to grab the code reader and read what that check engine light is all about, and we'll go from there. We are going to also try to do the clutch during this session in the garage as well. Troy's garage. So sorry about all the background noise. We've got the car running, warming up, and we've got the code reader on and the doors open. But the code that's stored here is a P0455, and it says fuel filler cap damaged. So let's pop that open and see what we got here. That was just loose as could be. I'll bet that'll fix it. It was loose enough that it was just rattling in there. So that's sealed now. A couple of cycles on start, stop, that sort of thing. I'm sure this is going to clear on its own. I'm not even going to clear the code. We'll just make sure it goes away on its own. And in the meantime, temperature's starting to rise, so let's go up front and see if we can figure out what's happening there. One thing that I haven't heard is the fan cycling. So it could be the fan relay as well. So I'm going to tickle the old air conditioner thingy over to defrost. That should trigger the fans to kick on and off, on and off. So with the defrost on, the air conditioner is cycling on and off like it's supposed to, and both fans spin. So it is definitely not that. The only other thing it can be, since it's not leaking anywhere else, is out of that. So I'm guessing that this just builds up pressure and then overflows down into there, spills some out, sucks some back in when it cools off, and then it does that again and again, and eventually it runs out of fluid. So I guess that's good news. What I'll probably do is, just out of an abundance of caution, just replace the radiator cap. After a quick trip to the O'Reilly's, picked up a brand new radiator cap, got that bad boy installed. Do need to top off the overflow bottle, just pull it up to full. I did make sure that the radiator's full of water, coolant stuff. I'm going to top that off, fire up the engine, and let it start to warm up. And then we're going to test this and just make sure that it holds pressure with the cap and gets up to temperature, doesn't go over temperature, that sort of thing. And then we'll take it for a spin. Maybe I'll go buy a beverage. I don't know. But we got to put it through its paces and make sure that this Boomerang auto repair T-Roy is a fix. Done. Topped off. So here's a strange thing with this car. This is a 2007 Kia Spectra 5. When I unlock the door, it immediately locks again. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. So I have to like push the button and then open the door super fast. And I think that time it actually, nope, it did. It relocked again. Anyway, so if you've had that problem and you fixed it, I would love to know what the problem is, and I'll do a video on fixing it. Leave a comment down below if you know what it is. Let's get this thing fired up. We'll see if our Boomerang auto repair fixed it this time. Gotta push record, bruh. Oh boy, gotta open the garage or I'm gonna die. That's far enough or I'm gonna freeze to death. I'm gonna get a fan blowing and blow that exhaust out as well. And now we wait. Starting to warm up, I can feel pressure in the hose. I don't think the thermostat's opened yet though, because the top hose is hot, but the bottom one's still cold. We're still waiting on that. Let's see what the temperature says on the dash. Oh, we're getting up there. Little bit. Everything's looking good and dry down in there though, so that's good. I got it all put back together, right? So there's that. I don't know. I did notice the motor mount was pretty jacked up in this thing, so I replaced the motor mount while I had this thing wide open as well. Well, with this thing fully up to temperature, even though the thermostat hasn't opened yet, it's only about 50 degrees in the garage today. So, executive decision. We're just going to take it for a spin and make sure that it doesn't overheat on the road. We'll check it when we get back for any fluid leaks or anything like that. And then maybe, just maybe, Boomerang Auto Repair fixed the issue. This is T-Roy. Well, I'm driving through a couple neighborhoods, that lower speed, a little higher revving, RPM, that sort of thing, with less air coming through the radiator is a good test. I've got the heater blowing, and it's blowing nice and warm. The temperature's staying right at the center of normal. It's 27 degrees outside, so I doubt we're gonna get this thing to overheat per se. But I'm just gonna keep driving. I've only driven about 2.5 miles so far. I'm gonna put a good 10 miles on it or so, just to be sure that everything's functioning as designed. Well, I had driven about 7 miles and was about to call it good. Well, it's overheating. Dang it. So I'm gonna pop the hood with it running and see if I can see, you know, maybe it is the radiator and I just couldn't see it before. I don't know. Well, at least this time it boomeranged on myself. Dang it. Geez, I'm way too far forward. Alright guys, a quick update on the Kia overheating issue. This thing, well, I've determined that it's got to be the head gasket. So the reason that I came to that conclusion is even with a brand new radiator cap and scoping out the radiator itself for any leaks, that sort of thing, there's no leaks there. What I still have happening after a test drive is the car still overheats and it sends pressure back through the radiator system and starts to overflow into the overflow. The level of that fluid starts to rise and starts to rise and starts to rise. There's a test you can do to hook up to that, test the fluid to see if there's any exhaust fumes coming through that. I'm not going to go to that extreme because I am 99% sure that that's what the problem is at this point. So, as you can see, I've started tearing into this thing already. I got a stack of parts up here on top of the car. And we're just going to get after this and start digging in here. I got to get the timing belt off next. That's next up. Remove this motor mount so I can get to that. All these belts have to come off this side. The water pump's got to come off. And then the exhaust manifold and the intake stuff. I did buy a kit. There's the part number. This is an entire kit. It's got the head gasket, all the seals, the O-rings for the fuel side, all of that kind of stuff. So that's what we're doing on this thing. Let's get the timing belt off. That's step one. First things first, some gloves. Got to keep that grease out from underneath the fingernails, you know what I'm saying? Get this motor mount off. Ding! What size is that one? I don't know. Holy lucky guess. That is a 14. First one was a 17. You're going to need a lot of 14s, 17s, 10s. And let's go. That is going to hurt when it lets loose. Good night, Irene. Ow, see? Pinched my finger. Dang it. Could have done without that. And FYI, you gotta jack up the motor before you take that motor mount off. Ooh, go up just a little bit with the jack. Take the tension off of this. Oh, see, there you go. And then you can take that off. And I like to just get the whole thing out of the way. Like that. Having that motor mount out of the way gives you access to a few more of these 10 millimeters that are on the cover for the timing belt. Oh, and I dropped it. Never find that again. Oh, I see it. Magnetic pickup tool to the rescue. All right, there's the top cover. Top part of the cover, I'm putting all of the bolts that go to that inside there, but I just store them in that. And I like to put things in the order that they came off. So there's my motor mount. Here's the top cover. Also the 4 bolts that go in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's complete. Next step, get all the belts off. So power steering, loosen that. Should be able to pop that off. I may have to take that bolt clear out. That's a pretty tight belt. Come on, come on. How long of a bolt do you need to be? Yeesh. So be it. There's the belt. That one should be out of the way. All right, next one is, I'm gonna put that back in there, just so there's no questions. I don't need no questions. The next belt is the alternator. Probably can't see that down in there. There's some light. So the adjuster for that is right here. I'm gonna loosen that, take that assembly thing clear off. That'll allow the alternator to swing as far as it needs to get that belt off. And then there should be one more belt down low that goes around the crank. And then we should have access to get off. Oh, we gotta take the pulley off of the water pump. It's a double pulley. We're gonna take that one off, and then we can get to the timing belt itself. All right, belts are now loose. We can get those off, if they will. I'm just gonna shove that one. Had an SD card error, so I'm not sure what happened there. I went and dumped all the footage off of it so that I could capture what was there. I think the last thing I recorded got corrupted, so I'm not sure what that was. It was taking off the belts. So we'll just continue with getting these belts off of here. There we go. I just put those up out of the way. The other one I tucked down low. All right, let's scope out what's next. So you do have to jack up the motor. Like I said, you're going to leave that jack under there the whole time you're doing this. That gives you access to one bolt each time without having to move this air conditioning line. When I pull this last one out, they're going to just fall. Do this without dropping the whole thing. Alright. Got all the tiny little bolts out. 10 millimeters is what they are. And then there must be a trick to this. Pull harder. That's what the trick is. There's one pulley. There's the second pulley. And you'll notice that there's a little key notch in that, and there's a little key notch in that. They have to be lined up when they go back on, and they'll only line up with the holes one way. So that's how you know when you're putting it back on and you get stuck. I've warned you. That's how that goes. Add it to the pile. I'm a big fan of not taking things apart unless I have to, but I had to get the power steering pump out of the way so that I could get this bracket off that's bolted to the head. So 3 bolts here, I've got 2 more bolts down there, 1 down there. That'll get rid of that bracket. And then we can focus on the exhaust manifold. I have some electrical connections I've got to take off as well. I'm just kind of scoping out all the things that are attached to the head. All that stuff's got to come off so we can lift the head up and out. So just keep cranking on it. I got to get the timing belt off, and then the fuel rail, all that stuff's got to come out as well. Last bolt drops that bracket off. I take all the bolts that go with that and I put them up here, next in line, because that was the next thing that came off. Exhaust manifold. I don't think I have to take out the oxygen sensor. We'll see. I'm hoping not. If you've ever had to take apart an exhaust manifold, you know what a pain those can be. So do yourself a favor, get some AIM penetrating lubricant, AIM Extreme, and just put some on there ahead of time. I probably should have done this earlier. But treat all the bolts that you have to take apart and let them get soaking. Just put a little extra on those. This stuff's amazing. Link down below. So these are size 12. We're going to try to crank on these like a glove. AIM just makes that like butter. Whoop, that one slipped a little. Here. Back out of the way enough that we can get to the exhaust manifold itself, and we're going to get treating these right now with the AIM and let that just kind of eat on it, eat on the rust. That bolt's down in here too. Size of those? They're 14s. That's right, not gonna work. Goodness. There we go. Oh, whoa, 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 do not strip that. Do not strip it. Take it easy on that oxygen sensor. Those things aren't free, you know? See if another squirt of lube will quiet that down. Oh, look at that. It's not even squeaking anymore. It's like a miracle. That AIM stuff, I promise you, man, that stuff is the bomb. Alright, exhaust, manifold, nuts and bolts and such, heat shields and all are going in the magnetic tray. I gotta get those out somehow. How am I gonna get that little heat shield off of the bottom of this? Because I don't think I'm gonna be able to get turns on these this way. Ouch, that hurts. Hurts my pride and my palm. I'm able to get that one anyway. That heat shield's gotta come off. Okay, now we're committed. Yeah, that wasn't so bad. Got it loose. You didn't have to take off that rear heat shield. you can actually get to those from underneath right here without taking off that heat shield. So I have one bolt to put back on. I couldn't get the other one, so I was like, let's just try it. And sure enough, with just a little extension, I don't know what I did with it. Aha, right here. With that extension right there, I was able to reach past it through to get to those bolts from up under there. So save yourself that trouble and just do it that way. It's much easier. There is enough slack in there to get that back far enough that it clears the bolts, because all of this comes up with the head when we get that far. So looks like the next thing I need to do, I'm just kind of going around the engine this way. I've got to drain the coolant system, otherwise it's just going to flood out and make a big old mess anyway. So this is like the 4th time I've changed the coolant in this car. This is getting expensive. All right, so I got it starting to drain. There is a little drain plug at the bottom of the radiator. It's just a Phillips bit. No idea if you can see that or not, but I undid that. And then if I open this, it'll start to really come out. You know, kind of like that. Remove the vacuum on it, and it starts really sucking. This job sucks. So while that continues to drain, I'm going to start with the upper hose. This one should be empty by now. Just disconnect it from here, start on electrical. Again, just working my way around, getting everything off of it so that we can unbolt that thing and lift it up out of there. All right, real quick update, although this has not been very quick. Took one trip to the store. I needed to buy one of these, oh, what the heck do they even call these things? Hose clamp tool, because I could not, for the life of me, get one of those clamps off. It's the one that goes from here, 90s over to there. I actually ended up having to cut that one in half because it was so fused on, but I couldn't separate that piece away from the cylinder head enough to, well, it had to pull clear away like this so that I could pull the head up out. I did get everything else detached all the way around. The intake is also disconnected. I've got it held up by this, I don't even know what they call this thing either. My gosh, I'm drawing a blank. It's fine, it's that thing. I picked that up at Horrible Freight. It's Chinesium, but it's done everything that I've thrown at it and asked it to do. Got the timing belt off. It's just slipped over here to the side. Like I said, I don't like taking things apart that I don't have to. I have enough room from the exhaust manifold to be able to pull the head. The intake, the bolts are still in there just a hair, but I'm really close. I've already gotten the head bolts loose. Took just a really big breaker bar right down there on the floor. They're Allen head wrenches, or Allen head whatever, sockets, bolts. I bought new. Don't do a job like this unless you're going to replace the head bolts. That's like 45 bucks for this one, but you do that to make sure that you get proper torque on the things. When you torque these things as tight as you do for a cylinder head, you're actually stretching the bolt and stretching some of the threads. So only use head bolts one time. That is a hard rule. Let me get this thing the rest of the way unbolted. I'm going to take a stab at pulling this thing out myself. Probably going to hurt myself. I may phone a friend. We'll see. Cramping up. Ow. Ah, come on. Stop it. We don't have time for that. So what's cool about this is these bolts, I can get this one to come all the way out. They create a suction on the little socket because of the oil that's been down inside of them for so long. A little bit sludgy and whatnot, but it creates a suction. So you can actually pick the bolt up with the socket. So, yummy. Well, and with that, the head is now free. I should be able to lift that out. if I'm strong enough. I don't think I am. I'm still going to try it, see if I can get it free from the intake manifold. It's still wedged in those bolts just a little bit. So let me give it a quick try and see. Let's see how this goes. My forearm is cramping up big time though. Okay, that's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Where am I going to put it when I get it out? That's the question. Forearm is cramping up big time. Dang it. Alright, got a place to set it down. Now, let's see if we can just get it out of there without hurting something or someone. Oh my gosh. Piece of cake. Alright, well, you can tell a lot about an engine when you get it opened up. I am going to pull that head gasket off and analyze it super close. See if I can see why or where it failed. It may be a small enough failure that I won't be able to see it. Because I wasn't getting milkshaky oil. Focus. All I was getting was just a little bit of pressure built back into my coolant system, and it was overflowing out of the overflow. And it would do it slowly over time, like it took 3 weeks for this thing to overheat again. If you remember. Boomerang Auto, right? We send them out, they come right back. My name's T-Roy. Yeah, that's this car. Let's get that head gasket off, take a closer look. Oh my gosh. Alright, well, I'm gonna have to clean that surface super good. Yeah, that failure could have been anywhere. I don't see anything obvious. Alright, so we're gonna just pretend for a half a second that I pulled the whole engine out, took that in, and had a machine shop redeck it. Don't do what I do. I took a little abrasive pad to that. I already know. I know. You're not supposed to do that. But I'm doing it anyway. We'll see what that does. I was careful. It's better than it was, I'll tell you that. There was some real big ridges and stuff from whatever glue they used to hold that thing on the first time. I also used air and blew out all of the holes where the bolts are going to go. So let's start reassembling. So a couple things I noticed on the cylinder head itself. There was definitely an exhaust leak out this side. That was on cylinder number 1. It was coming out towards this side and a little bit right in there. The other thing, I completely destroyed this getting it out. That's the intake gasket. Good thing the kit has all of this up in there. Also, another thing to note, these washers are down inside your cylinder head. When you take your bolts out, these kind of stick down in there and they don't come out on their own. So use a magnetic tool to fish those things out. They could be kind of wandering around anywhere in there. Make sure you get 10 of them. There's 10 of them. Your head bolts kit should come with new washers. And I counted those. There's 10. Made sure that I fished out 10. I also just got this back from the Boomerang Auto cylinder head factory machine shop. Redecked the surface of that. It's all nice and clean. This is aluminum, so you got to be even more careful than you are with this. I've already stuck the new head gasket on there. I'm ready to lift this into place and then start with the new bolts. Let's get going. Incoming cylinder head. Yep. Oh, dang it. I was hoping to set that right in place. Not miss. Oh, dang it. What is going on? dirty dog. Get on there. Shoot. Lower the engine, maybe? Maybe that'll make it worse. Nope, that's what it needed. There we go. Oh my gosh. Hope I didn't scratch that gasket. Come on now. Alright, dropping cylinder head bolts and washers. Make sure you get those washers on there. Just dropping them down in the holes for now. Oh boy, hang on. That washer's got to go below. Washer's got to fit in down below. Holy crap, I dropped it and it fell right where it needed to go. What are the chances of that? Pretty much zero. I'm pretty good at this game. It's like Plinko on The Price is Right. Oh, that one I missed. But I can fix that. Alright, all the washers are in place. Let's drop our bolts in. So you guys hear me joke about torquing things to spec all the time, you know, just do it the German way, where it's torqued to spec, right? But for cylinder heads, it is imperative, pretty much important, to get those things torqued correctly. So I'm going to look up the torque specs, bust out my torque wrench, make sure I do it in the proper sequence, do it by the book. So always double check yours before you actually go to torquing. Ooh, what the? Oh, there's a washer that's bigger than the others. Oop, I can see it right there. It's that one. Yep, it's different than the others. Magnetic tools are our friends. That one right there. And that means that this one goes down in there. Like that. Because two of these bolts are bigger than the others. So there you go. Just like that. So now I'm going to do the research, figure out the torque specs for this, and then we can start reassembling in the exact opposite order that we took it all apart. But that's going to have to happen tomorrow because I am exhausted. We'll see you guys bright and early in the morning. Alright, well, good morning. It is the very next day. You may have noticed yesterday that I got a haircut. That's because this project is taking way too long. I got to finish this today. Got to get this thing out of the garage. Let's not mess around and just get right to it. Head bolts are in, but only loosely. Got to torque those to spec. I looked up those torque specs. I'll explain that as we go. Get the intake and gasket on, get the exhaust and gasket on, and then start working our way around, reattaching all the things. Here's your torque specs. You torque them to 25 foot-pounds, and then tighten the bolts additional 90 degrees, then go back one more time and tighten an additional 90 degrees. And you do it in the sequence center to outside, and do it in a row like that. So that's the sequence I'm going to follow. According to the internet, this is correct. So let's do it. First, we'll set our torque wrench to 25. Lock it into place. Now I'm going to put you guys on a time lapse and just kind of get after this. Enjoy the music. There you go. That's how you replace a head gasket. Easy peasy. Now we just gotta put everything back together. Perfect. So reverse order, starting with our gaskets. We'll take our new ones and get them on there. And then we just start down the list. Intake, coolant crap, all the things all the way down until you put the oil cap on. Good times are about to be had. Alright, quick update on the head gasket replacement project. I've got the timing belt on. I still need to tension it. If I had to put a rating on probably the most tedious portion of this, it's probably lining up those two pulleys to put back on the water pump. They only go together one direction, like the holes only line up one way, and trying to hold both of them together and get the first bolt started. That's a pretty tedious little process. When I'm putting things back together, I do like to put a little bit of aim on them. That just helps things stay non-corroded and they go back together easier. So an example is these heat shield bolts in the exhaust. They're pretty crunchy, and with a little bit of the aim on it, they go in a lot smoother. You can get a good tight fitting on those. Working our way around here, I still need to put together all of the cooling system stuff, remount the electrical components on this side. I've already put together the intake manifold. I do need to still get underneath and put the bottom bolts in and then torque the whole thing. That still needs to happen. Fuel rail's in. I did torque the top bolts of the intake. I know that's not the correct order. You're supposed to like do this one, then 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 this one, and work your way from the inside out. I worked inside out, but top, out, out. And on the bottom, I'll do the same. I'll just be gentle and not crack it. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Getting really close. Just need to remount all the stuff that goes to the pulley stuff as well. And then the airbox. Here's some of that pulley stuff. Mount your power steering pump and alternator, stuff like that attaches there. This is the hose that I cut in half. I've got to go to O'Reilly's and get a new one of those. And then the airbox, timing cover, motor mount, valve cover, already has new seals in it, so that's good to go. And then the actual pretty cover on the top and the oil plug. Fill it with fluid, and we should be back running in no time. It's 11 o'clock. My goal was to be done by noon. Probably not going to be done by noon, but it's going to be close. All right, got all the belts on. I still need to tighten down the one that I would call a serpentine belt. There's actually 3 belts on this. One specifically for the power steering, one for the alternator, and one that kind of, well, runs all the other things. Air conditioner and whatnot. Everything else around here is all plugged in. I had to buy that new hose that's down in there. All my electrics are plugged back in. Yeah, next thing is valve cover. And that is right here. Again, I keep all my bolts separate for each of the different parts that I'm doing. Let's get this thrown on here. And again, I already put new gaskets on this, so it's just ready to install. You want to watch these and be careful that they don't get caught up. Once they seat down in there, everything else should be pretty lined up. And there is a firing order for tightening these down. So just kind of basically work inside to outside again, just like you do with all the other things. And this, you don't have to torque it to high heaven. There's probably a torque spec for it, but you know, it's just a rubber gasket. All you need to do is seat the gasket. You don't have to get all sorts of crazy with it. Otherwise, you'll pinch it, and then you'll have a leak anyway, and then you'll be like, I should have tightened it even more. But in reality, you probably tightened it too much, to be honest. 10 bolts total. I know that because I dropped 2 of them and then ended up having to count and then crawl around on the floor to find them. So that was dumb. But stuff happens. That. There we go. Now we just need to cinch them on down. I'm going to finish these by hand just so I can get a feel for how tight they are. And that will also give me a chance to go through and count and make sure that I got them all tight. Alright, now by hand, where's my wrench at? Right there. By hand, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I already did that one. Yep. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's actually 11 of them. Huh. Who knew? Somebody knew. The guy that engineered it knew. Done, son. Throttle cable gets reconnected right here. Ah, I still have to put those hoses on. I wonder if I can do that. That's supposed to actually go on that side of that. I gotta take that throttle cable off again. Dang it. This throttle cable's been in my way the entire time. It's been driving me crazy. I was super excited to get that thing reconnected. Come on now. Get on there. There we go. There we go. Now. Like that. And then there's this guy. These pliers did not want to open up wide. Got it. My gosh. Alright, throttle cable, you've been the bane of my existence the entire time. Let's go ahead and get you put back on there. Yeesh. Sick of you. Sick of you. Make sure we're going righty-tighty. Boom! Throttle cable's done. My wife come off for me pancakes. That takes precedence. I'm doing that. And it's all back together. Jeez, what a job. I haven't fired it up yet. I still need to top off. I need to completely fill the coolant. So, got a couple jugs over there of concentrate. I got to mix those 50-50, get those put in here. And then we'll do a test fire and make sure that nothing explodes. I don't anticipate anything exploding, but that first turn of the key is always just a little nerve-wracking. I must have done something completely wrong because I have not a single bolt left over. That's weird. Alright, well, open the garage so I don't die of fumes. Fire this bad boy up. Kick a fan on to pull those fumes out. Where are the keys? Here we go. Use these ones. Battery's dead. I left the door open a crack because of the stupid lock issue. So help me solve that one. Yeah, the lock issue is what I'm talking about. When we unlock it, the doors almost immediately relock. It happens 80% of the time. It's very strange. So I left the door open a crack, dome lights on for 3 days, and it killed the battery. So now I gotta charge it. Dang it. Put it in meltdown mode. 9.9 volts. That's not enough. Go play musical vehicles. I got to get a car out from behind here so that I can roll this one out when the time comes. Might as well do that while I wait. Alright, it's at 14.1. Let's try that again. See where we're at. Forgot that I had to prime the fuel. Fuel rail was completely empty. That's why it was kind of sputtering at first. It's running good. I'm going to put the tire on while it does a warm-up cycle. It is freezing cold outside. Got the garage door wide open so the fumes will go out. Is what it is. Hold everything. I forgot to tighten the 10 millimeters on the two pulleys. They're finger tight, and I was like, what the heck is that sound? It was vibrating loose. Always do a bolt check. Oh, that was close. Glad I caught it. Wow, they were coming loose big time. Can't see nothing. Where's my light? Oh, where my light is. Let's use this one. Can't see nothing. Last one. Alright, going on faith. Here goes nothing. Done, son. For reals, done this time. Well, it worked. I drove it around the neighborhood longer than I drove it around last time, and the highest it ever got was 1 tick below the halfway mark. Never heated up more than that. No fluid leaks at all. It is done. It's fixed. Out of my hair. It's out of my garage. So this is Troy, Troy's Garage. Appreciate you guys watching. Please like, comment, and share, and subscribe. Click that little bell thing. Follow me on Instagram. You'll find out sooner, at Troy's Garage. I'm also on TikTok, kind of dabbling over there, seeing if I can make a go of that as well. So if you're into that, follow me over there as well. And see you guys in the next video.